Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I would like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is the fifth in a five-part series especially for new members, but really anybody who's logging into BNI Connect for the first time and wants to learn more about all of the great things behind the scenes in BNI Connect. We started out the week with how to fill out your profile. We moved into the online slips. We talked about the social media aspects of connections and groups and testimonials. Then yesterday, we dug a little bit deeper and looked at some of the tools and reports within BNI Connect. And the final session today, we are going to talk about visitors and how can BNI Connect help with the visitor process, not just for people like visitor hosts, but just everyday members. How can we use BNI Connect to both assist in the inviting process, and how can we get more visitors to actually show up at the chapter meetings? So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, this is a live webinar, so if you have any questions at all during the webinar today, please do feel free to ask. We're scheduled for about 30 minutes worth of content. It takes about 25, 30 minutes to go through the visitor process here in BNI Connect. That being said, if you have any questions at all about today's webinar or anything else that we covered for the week, I recognize a lot of people are here again, some of you for the fifth time this week, and thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions about anything in BNI Connect, I am very happy to answer those questions. As usual, we are recording this webinar. It will be uploaded as soon as possible up to our BNI Connect Global YouTube channel, so youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, as well as on the support site. All right, without further ado, let's get started with today's topic, which is visitors and the visitor process in BNI Connect. So, visitors. One thing about visitors is I did write a manual on this. So if you would like a copy of the manual, actually, you'll see that in this GoToWebinar software, you'll see two links under handouts, the visitors in BNI Connect in both document and PDF format. Please feel free to download those files, or if you're unable to download them there, just shoot me an email, support@bniconnect.com, and I will be happy to send you a copy of those files. And what it is that basically this is just one screenshot of basically a 53-page manual having to do with visitors. And this is how it works in BNI Connect. There's three real phases to working with visitors. And the first phase is inviting them. That happens before the meeting. And there's a way to use BNI Connect to send out a custom invitation to a visitor, inviting them to an upcoming meeting. The second part of this is pre-registering visitors, and this right here is the most important part of the process. This is the part that really drives the visitors to the chapters and gets them to show up to the meeting. And that is pre-registering the visitors. And then the final part of this is the visitor follow-up. And that's mostly done as a leadership team tool, but I just want to make you aware of a couple of things that happen during that process. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this process works. The first step of this is the inviting visitors part. So let's take a look at how that works. So in BNI Connect, let me go back to my home screen here in BNI Connect. The visitor invitation is something that we do have to go into the menu items for. You will notice along the top, we have a couple of different things: network, operations, reports, tools, and admin. That's where a lot of the functionality is kind of hiding in BNI Connect, is beyond those menus. Now, most of the time, almost everything that we're going to do in BNI Connect is going to be either under network, operations, or reports. When you're looking for stuff in BNI Connect, the places to look, network is always going to be the social media components of BNI Connect. So network is always going to be social media, the groups, the content, the connections, the testimonials, things like that. Operations and reports are read only. Remember that, reports read only. That means that you can't really enter anything in there. That's only going to be where you can get information back out of BNI Connect. So if you're looking to do something, in this case, we're going to be looking to register visitors. We're going to be looking to send an email out. We're going to want to go to operations. So we're going to go to operations and chapter. And here's where we'll see a lot of the functions. The first function here has to do with managing visitors. But what we're going to do first is we're going to send out an email to a visitor. So we're going to go to Create Email. And from here, we have a couple of different options for creating emails. We can email the chapter, but really what we want to do is the second option here, which is email a visitor invitation. If I click email a visitor invitation, what this is a way to send out a branded BNI invitation email to a visitor. A lot of the times, especially as new members, we struggle with, well, what do we say to somebody when we're inviting them to come and visit BNI? Either we have a hard time explaining what BNI is. I mean, how do you explain a BNI meeting to somebody that's never experienced BNI before? A lot of times we'll either say too much information. Oh, well, it's just a weekly meeting and you have to be there every week. Otherwise, well, if you're not there 3 times without a sub, then we're going to kick you out of the chapter. Oh, and it's only, $400 and, you're going to make $1 million in it. We come up with all these things to tell them and we end up kind of scaring them away from BNI. Either that or we don't tell them enough. So this makes it so that just the right amount of words are in there. It has the BNI branding and the logo and all of that information in there as well. The thing about BNI to remember as well is that we are not a cold call organization. We are a word of mouth organization, and that means that I like to look at this as really the second invitation that you're sending to them. What you do not want to do is to just go blindly through your email list and start sending these invitations out to people. This is really more of a personalized invitation, so that the way I look at it, let's say that you're out at a networking event, maybe it's a chamber event or a local business after hours or something, and you meet somebody that you think might be interested in BNI, and you say to them, hey, why don't you come to my BNI meeting? I'd love to introduce you to some of my referral partners. Great, that sounds awesome. Send me the information. This is your way to send them that information. So we do that by putting in their name. So we just have to put in a little bit of details about them. So let's say that we're inviting somebody named John Smith from Smithco, and we put in their email address. Now, if you'd like to test this out, you'd like to play with this function, I recommend that you go in and just use your own email address. Send an invitation to yourself so you can see what it looks like. In this case, I'm going to use my email address so that I can show you guys what it's going to look like in a second. Now, the personal message, this is going to be the first paragraph of that invitation that goes out. So the rest of it's going to pull information from BNI Connect and your chapter address and what days you meet and the name of your chapter and all of that kind of stuff. But this first part of it is the first paragraph is going to be from you. So here's where you want to make it sound like it's coming from a human, because it is coming from a human. So put in, it was great meeting you at the networking event. I am excited to introduce you to my referral partners. Right? So you're able to customize this. Now, when I click send, it's going to take that information, create an email to that email address, and immediately send it out. And I just received it in my email now, and this is what that invitation looks like. So you can see it's to your BNI invitation. My chapter wants to meet you. It has a nice BNI graphic in there. So this is a branded BNI image that says, Dear John, and it has my first paragraph. It was great meeting you at the networking event. I'm excited to introduce you to my referral partners. It then lets them know that you're invited to the meeting of the BNI Burr chapter at the One Cold Conference Call Center. We meet in Antarctica, and we meet on Wednesdays at 5:30 in the afternoon. It then briefly describes what BNI is all about. It's a business and professional organization. Lets them know that we're looking for somebody in your profession. And then it says to please RSVP with you. So makes for a very easy to send invitation. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't like the way it's worded, or it's not quite right. Maybe there's not an opening for that person. The other way that you can utilize this is you can send this invitation just like I did to myself, and you can then make it your own. I can copy and paste this into a new email, for example, and I can change the words around and, yep, put different things in here. Maybe we're not meeting on Wednesday that day, or it's a special visitors day and we're meeting at a different time, or maybe you need to put something in there that says, please bring $10 for the payment for the meeting. Whatever it is that you want to do to then edit it, you can even use this just as a template. All right, so that right there is the visitor invitation. So the next part of this process, so we've now sent them a visitor invitation. Now the next part of this process, as I said, is the most important part of this process, and that is pre-registering your visitors online. What this does is it turns it from a casual invitation to a more professional, yes, I'm coming to a business meeting invitation. And the reason for this, a lot of times when we do invite somebody to BNI, let's say that we're out there at that networking event, hey Bob, do you want to come to my BNI meeting this week? Great, yeah. Well, what time is it? Where are we meeting? Well, we meet on Thursday mornings at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in the morning. Yep, 7 o'clock in the morning. Trust me, you're going to enjoy it. So then, they say, yes, they're going to come. And then all of a sudden, Thursday morning comes around and the alarm clock goes off at, oh God, 30 in the morning. And they're thinking, yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to hit the snooze button again. It's kind of cold out this morning. It's just going to be another networking meeting. They're not even going to miss me. There's going to be like 100 people there. They won't even know that I'm missing. And to somebody that's never seen BNI before, that's, it's perfectly reasonable expectation that they won't be missed. They don't know that it's a sit-down meeting and we take attendance and we're looking for them there, and it's a very structured meeting. So when we register them now, what it's doing is it's saying, okay, well, it's not just please come to this meeting, but you are registered to attend this particular meeting. We expect you to be there. They'll also send a reminder 2 days before the meeting to remind them to go to that meeting. In addition to that, the whole leadership team and the visitor hosts and your director consultant will all get a notification saying, hey, somebody just registered to visit this meeting, and then they can take it upon themselves to maybe call this visitor ahead of time, let them know that they're going to be welcome, give them more information, answer any questions about the chapter, and really do some of that, almost pre-marketing work with the visitor in order to get them to come to the meeting. So how do you pre-register a visitor? Well, it's pretty straightforward to do. There's actually 2 different ways that you can pre-register a visitor. So for those of us that are logged into BNI Connect, one way to do this is, again, through the operations. Again, we're doing input, so input is operations. So under operations, we have manage visitors. Now, unless you're a visitor host, you probably won't see all of these options, but you should definitely see one option that says register a prospective visitor before a meeting. And if we click on register a prospective visitor, all we really need to do is fill out this form. It's as easy as that. So we can choose their profession. Let's say that this is a health and wellness and a hypnotist. We can choose the date that they're going to visit, and you will notice that it is only able to choose future dates. I can't select anything in the past. So let's say that they are going to be coming to next week's meeting on the 24th, and we just put in their information. So again, this was John Smith from Smith Co. Hypnotherapy. In Hereville, Antarctica, phone number, and email address. Now, once again, I'm going to put my own email address in here so I can show you guys what happens when somebody registers. So once I've registered this visitor now, as I mentioned, the visitor will immediately get a congratulations, you're registered to visit this chapter meeting. And as soon as I get that, the other thing, as I mentioned, is your leadership team will get those emails letting them know that somebody has registered. And finally, the the director consultant will get those as well. So here's the email. Hi, Alfred. John Smith is confirmed to visit the BNI chapter meeting. This is my leadership team notification. Please be prepared to welcome John by arriving 15 minutes early. Remember, visitors can become members. So this is the notification that goes out to the leadership team. And then here is my notification to the visitor. Hi, John. You are confirmed to visit the BNI Burr chapter meeting on the 24th at 5:30. Please plan to be at the meeting for a full 90 minutes with some extra time to network. And remember to bring plenty of business cards. So this is putting them in the right mindset of expecting something different than a normal, just wide open networking event. And once again, they will get that reminder 2 days before. Now, I did mention there are actually a couple of different ways to register. A visitor can actually register themselves through your chapter webpage or your regional website. So if you'd like to see how that works, if you just click the regional website button in the upper right-hand corner, that should take you to your regional website page. I happen to be a member here in the Rhode Island and Cape Cod region, so this is our regional website, but every region does have their own regional website. But the process is still the same. If I go and find a chapter, and we do have people that are doing this every single day, they're looking to join a BNI chapter, they go to the regional website, they try to find a chapter. Let's say that I'm going to look for chapters. I just want to find chapters maybe that meet on Wednesdays, so I can start typing Wednesdays in the search. And let's say that this one looks like it's in my area. So I'm going to go check it out. I can check out, well, looks like some good people in there. And then I can click on Visit This Chapter. So from the chapter details page, anybody with access to the internet can register to visit an upcoming meeting. And the form is almost exactly the same as we fill out on the inside of BNI Connect. Really, the only difference here is that they do have to put who invited them, because we can't tell who's doing the data entry at that point, and a CAPTCHA code to make sure they're not just a robot filling out forms on the internet. Other than that, the same process happens. They'll get the confirmation right away. The leadership team will get the notice. The director consultant will get the notice, and they will get the reminder 2 days before the meeting as well. All right, so another thing that happens with this is that there are some now reports available to us that help us to be prepared for the upcoming meeting. So if you look under the reports section, one report that you should see is the registered visitors report. And it's all the way down at the bottom of the list here. So we do have to scroll down, and we have a visitor registration report. So now I can look and see how many people are registered for the meeting. If you happen to be a visitor host, you can even use this as a sign-in checkoff sheet as well. But here we can see we have John Smith is registered for this upcoming meeting on the 24th. We can even see who invited them, what their business is, their email, so we can get in touch with them ahead of time. Great way to see who's for an upcoming meeting. Now, where this is also really, really helpful is if you happen to be having a visitor's day at your chapter. And if you're having a visitor's day, this is a great way to see all of the people that are registered for that upcoming meeting. All right, and the last part of this process is that the visitor host, this is going to be something that your leadership team does, not as much you as a member, but your leadership team will then mark those visitors as having attended the meeting. The person that invited them will get credit in the PALMS report for inviting the visitor. And there's some follow-up emails that take place. The visitor will get a thank you for visiting the chapter email. There's also visitor reports and things that we can use in the future down the line to work with those visitors. For example, if you're having a holiday party and you wanted to open that up as a big networking event to invite all the people that had ever visited your chapter, that would be a great way to go back in and find all those people in order to invite them. Now, there's one thing that I wanted to show you guys. This is all great in theory, but does it actually work? Is this method of inviting people and registering for the meetings effective? And being kind of a data geek and being the director of support, I wanted to test this out. As I've mentioned a couple of times on previous webinars, I am a member. I am a member of the Wakefield chapter here in South Kingstown, Rhode Island. I've been a member since 2002, and during that time period, I've been on the leadership team, and I've been the president of the chapter a couple of times. And a couple of years ago, I was president, and I wanted to test this out. I wanted to try this and see if it worked. So we were having a Visitors Day, and if I don't know how many of you are new members or veteran members, but a lot of times when you have a Visitors Day, you invite a whole bunch of people, and then the week before that Visitors Day meeting, we go around the room. Okay, John, how many visitors do you have coming? And Sonia, how many visitors do you have coming? Joyce, how many visitors do you have coming? Peter, how many visitors do you have coming? And I have 2 visitors. I have 3 visitors. I have 1 visitor. By the time you go around the room, you're like, yeah, this is great. We're going to have like 50, 60, 70 visitors here. And then the Visitors Day comes around, and like, well, about 15 or 20 of them showed up, maybe 50% of them showed up, and that would be really, really good. With this process, you can get a much higher percentage. Because we're shifting the paradigm, we're shifting the idea of that they should be expected to be at this meeting, more of the visitors show up. So here's what I did. For this Visitors Day, I just, a week before, I did that thing where we go around the room, we say, all right, how many visitors do we have coming? And by the time we were done, I was like, we're going to have 100 visitors here. Well, I went and I looked in the system, like, well, that seems to be a little bit of a discrepancy. We only have 6 people registered. So I ran that visitors report. There were only 6 registered visitors. So I just sent out a quick email to my chapter and said, hey, you know what? We have our Visitors Day in 6 days. I would like you to please register your visitors so we know who's coming. And let's have a great Visitors Day. So it was kind of great. Immediately, as person on the leadership team, I started getting notifications almost right away, and we went from 6 to 21. So I sent this one out, and 5 days until our Visitors Day, we had 21. I sent them another reminder each day, and we went 4 days and 26 visitors, then 34 registered visitors, and 39. And I'm getting pretty excited as being on the leadership team that this is happening. And then finally, we had 45 registered visitors 13 hours before the meeting. How many of those visitors do you think actually showed up? Based on prior predictions, a really good day would have been about 20 to 25 visitors. But what ended up happening, and it's almost all because of this registration process, we ended up with 42 visitors that attended that meeting. We had 6 people that turned in applications and 3 additional ones. We ended up with 8 new members to build our success team. It was wonderful. So just to make sure it wasn't an anomaly, we made sure we tried this again, right? Lather, rinse, and repeat. And that second time, we had about 28 visitors registered, and we had 25 that attended, and 4 applications were turned in that time around. So this process, it does work, working with the visitors, making it more of a formal registration as opposed to a casual one. Gets more people through the door. All right, so we're getting close to the bottom of the hour. What I'd like to do is to open this up for questions. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? I would love to answer those questions now. While you guys are thinking of any questions, just a couple of things. Again, a reminder that this webinar is being recorded. It will be made available in a few places, the first of which is on the support site. So if you go to this question mark in the upper right-hand corner, that will take you over to the support site. And on the support site, you will see our list of upcoming webinars. And by the way, a good referral for me, the webinar series is not quite over yet. We do have a group of leadership team webinars next week. We're going to talk about chapter goals and leadership team tools and reports and web pages and online renewals. And then next month, we'll start the series of 9 webinars all over again. So please do recommend any of these webinars to your fellow members. You can also see the recorded webinar series. Just click through to any one of these months, and you will see each of the webinars in chronological order. And I will have yesterday's and today's up here very soon. And of course, you can always go directly to facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. Give us a like up here, as well as our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. So let's see, a couple of questions. Well, Georgia just says thank you. No, Georgia, thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate you spending some time with us. Let's see, Jan says, great presentation, some great information. Has any thought been given to allowing a profession to be entered if it isn't in the drop-down rather than using other? On the regional website, when you choose to visit this chapter, there is a ability for the I don't know the classification, and they can type it in here. So there is that available out here on the public side. That's not available on the internal side of things. So that being said, yes, there is consideration to that. The entire categorization classification system is being looked at as a whole. So I'm sure that that is going to be part of that discussion as well. So does that answer your question, Jan? Let's see, Desiree says, where else do you advertise these webinars to BNI members? I found it by accident when I went to upcoming events. So yes, we have it. We have them on all of the regional websites. So if I go to the event calendar, on every regional website out there, you should have this on your events calendar. So for all these BNI Connect webinars, for example, they should be up here on the calendars. They're also available on the United States calendar, so bniamerica.com. And if we look at the event calendar up here, they're all up here as well. I have them on the support site. I email them out to all of the education coordinators once a month. And then I also usually drop them on Facebook as well. So if I go to the Facebook BNI Connect Global, I usually do reminders and things like that up here on the Facebook site as well. So we do try to get the word out there, but anything you could do to help spread the word, Desiree, that would be absolutely wonderful. Cool. What other questions do you have? Georgia says, I look forward to browsing some of the other webinars. I can listen while working on other projects. Yeah, and if you find anything interesting, feel free to share them, especially if you go up on the YouTube site, Georgia. I have some education moments, some shorter videos. For example, if I go here, there's these education moment series, and these are all short 3 to 5 minute videos, which are great for, if you'd like your chapter, for example, to start using the online referrals instead of paper referrals, maybe share with them that 3-minute video and they can see how to do that process. Or I know there's a short video for inviting a visitor, for example, this invite a visitor. This one is a short 3-minute video on how to invite a visitor that, again, it goes through the same steps that we went through today with the explanation and recording, but they don't have to watch a 30-minute video. They can just watch this short 3-minute video. Susan says, are there webinars on manager moments and presentations and things like that? The webinars that I do concentrate on BNI Connect, different regions, and there's different places where they do have videos on some of the other things, but I don't have access to them directly. So the best thing to do there, Susan, is to check with your regional office. So check with your director consultant, and they will be able to tell you more about resources that they might have available. All right, hopefully that helps. All right, what other questions? All right, if there's no additional questions, I'm just going to say thank you guys so much for, especially on a Friday afternoon on what I'm sure was a very long week for everybody. Thanks for ending the week off on a positive note with me. Remember to submit yourself a CEU slip for today's webinar, and I do look forward to hopefully seeing your names on the list of a future webinar as well. Have an absolutely wonderful weekend and happy connecting.